the first thing we need to do is acquire our data. So you go up here to Home, click Get Data, select the drop down, and then choose your data source. Today, my data source is a text CSV document, so I'm going to click Text CSV. And then now I'm going to go into my data source and select my sales table. Now that our data is loaded into our model, before we actually start building out visualizations, what we'll want to do is go to the left-hand side and select Model. Now we see our two tables, our sales and our product. I have a setting, and in Power BI Desktop the setting is by default that it will auto detect relationships. So that means Power BI will evaluate your columns and see which ones are named the same and then build a relationship, which is this line that tells us it's a one to many, and this little triangle is pointing to sales, meaning that the product table filters your sales table. And we can hover over to see what field that relationship's made on. In this case, it's the product key, and that's the column that I want the relationship to be built on. So Power BI did get this right. There are times when Power BI creates relationships for you that are not correct. So you want to go evaluate each relationship and make sure it's made on the correct columns. Now that we have that, let's say Power BI did not create this for you. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. So now I need to build a relationship between my product and my sales table. In this case, I know the product key in the sales table should relate to the product key in the product table. So all I have to do is hover over product key from product, drag and drop it over the product key column in the sales table. And now you'll see that the relationship's created. Now we can go build our report. The first thing that I do in building a report is give it a title. So you'll see that I can't type inside of this report canvas right now, but what I can do is insert a text box. So I'll go to Home and I'll click Text Box. Now that the text box created, I can start typing just like you would in PowerPoint or Word. You can go in and click Sales Report. We can readjust. I think this might be a little small for a title, so I can highlight, adjust my font size to 24, maybe bold it, and I think that's good for now. So now we have our title. The next thing we want to do is build a few visualizations. When I'm building visualizations, I typically like to ask myself, what is the end user needing to see in this report to give them some insight into their portion of the business? The first thing I'm going to do is build a few KPI cards. So we know that we have the order quantity, the sales amount, and the sales price columns. Those seem like they would be extremely valuable for the end user. And what I'm going to do is add those to the KPI cards. Now in those KPI cards, I'll add sales amount. And you'll see all I did was go and select the checkbox when I have the KPI card visual selected. And we have 83 million in sales. Now what we'll want to do is actually format this so the sum of sales amount is maybe up here and it's only labeled sales amount. So what we're going to do is select that KPI visual, select Format Your Visual, and then under the Visual tab, turn off your category label, go to General, turn on your title, and now put sales amount. And now I'm going to go ahead and center and bold. So that's the first visual we've created. And this is a dollar figure, so we'll want to show it in dollar format. All we have to do now is select sales amount, go into column tools, and select dollar. Perfect. So now we have our first KPI. What makes report development really fast, let's say we want to duplicate this. Select your visual, click copy, and then click paste. And then click paste one more time so you get 3 versions. And now we'll align these. You can use the red lines to align them. Now in this column, in this visual, I want to add the order quantity field. So I can drag order quantity to the fields pane. And now it shows me 181,000. But we need to go change our title. So select the KPI card, go to format your visual, go to general, then go to title, and type in order quantity. The last KPI card will be from sales price, so we'll just repeat that same process. In sales price, it does not necessarily make sense to sum the sales price. What a better metric would be the average of the sales price. So we want to see our average sales price. And to do that, you just hover over the fields, click the down arrow, and change it to average. So now there is our average sales price. We can go add that title so it makes sense. Perfect. And we'll want to format this as a dollar as well. So we'll click our sales price column on the right hand side and then select dollar. And we really only want 2 decimal places. So in here I'll type 2, click enter. And now we should only see 2 decimal places. Now we need to build 2 visualizations. I'm going to go ahead and build the matrix and the bar chart. You can choose whatever visualization you think your end user would like the most. So I'll start with the matrix visual. It's the table, but with the blue outer line. So you select that and it will insert that type of visualization. Now I'm going to make it half of my page and make sure the spacing is according. Now in this, I'm going to add the order quantity and the sales amount. Now you could see sum of sales amount. It has some significant digits. We'll want to select sales amount and then type in 2 in the decimal places. We'll also want to add a comma to the order quantity field. So I'll select order quantity and then click the comma icon. Now I have 2 fields added to my visual. Maybe I just want to see this visual broken down by product. So I can open up my product table and drag in product name to the rows. Now I have my total dollar amount and my order quantity broken down by products. The next thing you want to do is probably sort by your sales amount, and now you see your largest products. We can add a hierarchy, so if we want to see maybe product subcategory before we see product name, we can just drag that in. And now here's my product subcategory. Now you see that this is the key value, and that means we need to bring in another table so we get the subcategory name. And we can do that very quickly. So we'll get data, we'll go text CSV, and then we'll find the product subcategory table. Now that we have the new subcategory table, we'll go into dimensions. We'll create the relationship. We can see Power BI already created that for us. We'll hover over it to ensure that it's the correct column, which it is. Now I can go back to my visualizations, select the table, open up my product subcategory table, and we'll drag in product subcategory name into the rows and remove out the key. Now I have a breakdown of the subcategory, and then if I wanted to go see the actual products under that category, I can click the plus icon to see that. And now we've built our matrix visualization. The next type of visualization that I want to show you is actually the line chart. And what we're going to build is an analysis of the sales amount over a period of time. So we'll bring in our order date key, and this should just be a date field. You can see that it comes in as a hierarchy. In our case, we want it to just show the date. So we can do the drop down and select order date key. And now we have a date format. Most people choose to format their date a little bit differently. And what we can do is select order date key, go to format, and then choose the format that you want. The next step is to add in the sales amount field. So we'll go ahead and add in sales amount. Now this table is not very helpful. It just shows order date by sales amount. Now what we want to do is format this as a table. So select the visual and we'll go into the line chart. And now we have analysis of all of our sales amounts over a period of time. And you can see it by day. This is by month, but when you hover over the tooltip, you can see it by day. If you want, you can add additional filters, like maybe we want to only see a certain time period. So we are going to add in quickly a filter or a slicer visual. So you add the slicer, add in the order date column, and now we have our first filter. We can drag that into some open white space. And let's say I only want to see 2014. I'll go to 1/1/2014. And now you'll see after I did that, it filtered the whole report page to just year-to-date 2014. And with that, you have built your whole report. You can, again, modify it as you see fit. This is a very simple, down and dirty report. It can get a lot more complicated, but at least you see the basics of the Power BI features.